What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Brian Costa, and today we have got a great episode in store for you. As the NBA begins to turn its page towards next season, some major moves are already shaking up its landscape. To help me break down these remarkable moves is a good friend of the show and a Celtics diehard. So without any further ado, please welcome back to the show, Christopher Dring. Chris, glad to have you back with us here today. How you doing?
Appreciate it. I've been on the show before, and I'm excited to talk some trades and some offseason stuff because it is wild what is going on right now.
Yeah, it's been some crazy moves. I know the last time we actually had you on our show, it was following the NBA trade deadline. So we got to talk about some moves like Kevin Durant going to the Phoenix Suns and a whole lot of that. That was a really cool episode too, because it was in like the beginning of February, but it was 60 degrees outside, and you and I decided to film that podcast outside of the Koffler radio station.
Yeah,
Which was pretty daring consider the time of year it was.
I think it was a cool thing to
Yeah.
at least give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we met some people outside that thought it was a cool idea, and I think overall I would say that it was a success. It was good weather for the time of year, so we had to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Bill. He managed. I gave him the idea of doing it, and I said, hey, if we set up the remote broadcast system, could we like aux in these microphones to the soundboard and throw it up on the station? He goes, I mean, we could try it, and like we jerry rigged the thing, we made it work, and it worked out well, and not without some challenges. I know that we first started off the show, we got like 10 minutes in, and then like the Zoom call like cut out, and we had to like kind
Yeah,
of start all over, which was nuts.
that was tough.
That was tough. We were already like into like our second segment, and we had to like just scrap the show because like we couldn't get any of it. And then yeah, like it was a pretty nuts time. I mean, like I hope that maybe that can a remote broadcast system like that with the soundboard, maybe we could do at homecoming in the future, like if there are some Bryant students who are interested, like you could almost do like a college game day setup where like where you have a pregame like radio show going on at the tailgate, something like that. I think there's a lot of great opportunities
Yeah.
that could be had with that.
A lot of potential there. A lot of potential for sure. I feel like that'd be at least something to try. I don't know
Yeah.
if it'll last too long, but
Hey, I mean,
it's at least something to try.
hey, I mean, I'm not running that thing anymore. It's up to them, however they want to make that thing work. So,
Yeah,
here,
Bill's running it, I think, right?
yeah, Bill took over the
Yeah,
GM job. He's got that thing now. So I think they're going to kill it. They already got everything lined up pretty well for the fall
nice.
concert, and they look to kind of just be off to the races right now. It's a good stuff.
That's great.
Yeah. All right. So, Chris, the reason I reached out to you early this morning to get you back on the show, obviously has to do with the deal that went down for the Celtics. As a lot of us were sleeping, so very close to midnight. The original trade that we thought was going to be happening for the Boston Celtics, where we would be acquiring Wizard star Kristaps Porzingis, completely got scrapped. We originally believed that Malcolm Brogdon was going to get sent to the Los Angeles Clippers, and then Marcus Morris was going to get sent to the Wizards, and then various moves would fall as suit. The Clippers decided to back out of the deal. They said that they had issues with Brogdon's health. And then right before the stroke of midnight, right before Porzingis had to decide whether he was going to opt in or out of his player option, Marcus Smart gets sent to the Memphis Grizzlies, and his time as a Celtic is over. Unreal. Chris, I just want to get your opinion on that. How do you feel that Marcus Smart is no longer a member of the Boston Celtics?
Honestly, man, I've been actually, I put on this shirt for the special occasion. I don't know if
Oh,
you see the
geez.
Marcus Smart. Might
Yep.
be the last time I'm wearing this shirt, unfortunately.
For a while, probably. Yeah.
For a while. I'll get to that, but I've always been mixed about Marcus Smart and the Celtics. Part of
Sure.
me says this guy's the heart and soul of the team. He loves the city of Boston. He loves the fans, and he loves being here. But part of me says, man, like he's made a lot of dumb decisions. He's cost us a lot of games, and he was part of the reason why this team, didn't win last year. And it does hurt to see him go because he loves this place so much. I think he was shocked. I saw something that said he was in complete shock that this happened. And when I saw that, I was like, I just, like my jaw dropped. I was like, Brad traded away Marcus Smart before Malcolm Brogdon, before Grant Williams, before Peyton Pritchard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was the first guy to go. And that was a surprise. That was definitely a surprise. I know Brad didn't want to give him up, but I think if you're asking me, I think he'll end up back in Boston at some point. I really do. Because
Really?
the Grizzlies, I know we'll get to this at some point in the show. The Grizzlies did this for a reason because they will not have a full roster for the first 25 games.
Yeah.
They did this for a reason. Now, I don't know how long his contract is. I haven't looked at that. I don't know what his contract is.
Let me try to
But
see if I can get that for you.
I really think that he will. I mean, he's not too old. I know he's been in Boston for 9 seasons, but he's not like Chris Paul, where he's on his way out of the league. He's not by any means going out of the league. I don't see that. I think he might be back with the Celtics at some point, but not in the near future.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
so I actually just got the trade details of or the contract details of Marcus Smart's contract. So he is currently on a 4-year, $76 million deal. He is signed through the 2025-2026 season.
Okay.
As of 2026, when he's 32 years old, he'll be a free agent. And so there's that.
Yeah. See, I don't know. We're going to have to see if he even fits in Memphis. I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dillon Brooks is gone, and they just got rid of Tyus Jones, their backup point guard. So they just got rid of him and Dillon Brooks. They're both gone. And I'm interested to see how he fits. I think he'll be good for the Grizzlies, even though Grizzlies have kind of gotten a lot of hate in the past year or two. I think he can at least help the locker room there because I know it's been a mess. It's been just a complete mess in Memphis. But now let's go back to the Celtics side of things. If you look at this from a pure value standpoint, the Celtics won this trade, clearly. We traded away Mike Muscala, Danilo Gallinari, a second-round pick, and Marcus Smart, and we got Kristaps Porzingis and 2 firsts.
Yeah.
If you ask me, that's a win. And so I know the first it's only moving up 10 picks, but it's still a first-round pick for tonight's draft.
Yep.
I don't even think we're in the first round, right?
We were going to be the 35th pick, so no, we would have been outside.
No. So there you go. And I know, well, then the Wizards and then the Grizzlies were just like the third team. But what this tells me is that Brad was not satisfied with running it back, and Brad wants to take a gamble. Kristaps Porzingis, I think, is going to be a good fit. I think he's going to be a good fit, but it all depends on his health. It all depends on if he can stay healthy. Because like we've seen, he's very injury prone.
Yes.
And he's not his body build it's crazy. Like he's a 7'3" guy who can shoot threes very well for his height. And that's kind of fragile if you're looking at it. But if you ask me, part of me is kind of sad that we let go of Marcus Smart, but it's kind of, I feel like it was a much needed change because we keep coming up short every year. And I feel like this could be the move that can make everything better. But
yeah, so I guess I'll take it from there. I think I listen, I'm sad that Marcus Smart is no longer a Celtic. He was one of the big pieces of this rebuild that we did when we traded away Pierce, Garnett, Rondo when he eventually left. Like he was one of those foundational pieces that helped start this new era of Celtics basketball. I know Tatum and Brown followed suit after that. But Marcus Smart was that guy and was the was that building piece when we selected him as 6th overall back in 2014. And it is a sad day to see him no longer as a Boston Celtic. But like you said, Chris, I do think that this is a win for the Celtics. And I hope that Porzingis, like you said, can stay healthy. I know last year he played the most games ever in a season for him. It was only 65 games, however. But over that span, though, he did average 23.2 points, 8.4 rebounds, and 3 assists. So he's able to at least do really good when he's healthy. I know he had a couple knee injuries a couple years ago, and he remarkably very quietly put together one of the best seasons of his career. And I kind of just want to get your opinion. I know, Chris, you probably watch a bit more basketball than I do. Is this Kristaps Porzingis we're getting similar to the one that was with the New York Knicks, or more similar to the one that we saw kind of flame out with the Dallas Mavericks? What version of Porzingis do you think Boston is getting?
That's a real good question because, like you said, like last year he seemed like he was getting back into rhythm. Like I know he had I believe it was an ACL injury. He tore his ACL a couple years back when he was in New York still. But I just feel like the fit wasn't there in Dallas necessarily. He was, I mean, he went there to be the co-star to Luka, and it just didn't really work out. I think he got shut down towards the end of the season last year, so I feel like he could have hit 70 games played, which is, like you're saying, impressive for a guy like that with his history. I think we're getting it's really hard to tell. I feel like we're getting more similar to the Mavericks version of him because he's older now. But
I mean, you say he's older. He's
I
only
don't know.
27 though.
Exactly. I thought he was 30. If
Yeah, no, a lot
I
of
told
people have been
somebody,
saying that.
that's what I thought.
Yeah,
Because he's been in the league for a while. He's been in the league since like
2015.
2017,
He
really?
came
Oh,
in the league in
15?
2015, 16. He was 20 years old. He's played 7 years in
Wow.
the league.
I didn't know that it was that long. See,
Yeah.
it's hard because I know he missed a whole year basically because of his ACL.
Yeah,
So it's hard
back
to keep
in
track of his
20
career.
Yeah, so back in 2018 and 19 was when he tore the ACL. He
I
didn't
know it
play a
was before
single game that
COVID.
year.
Yeah. So that was what messed me up with like the age and stuff. I thought he was a little bit older, but no. He like 27, that's when you're supposed to be in your prime.
Mhm.
Is usually your late 20s, early 30s is when a player's in his prime.
Yeah.
I think
So yeah,
I think this is a good fit. I
yeah,
do.
I'm hopeful of it. I hope that the Celtics actually can utilize him inside more and don't just have him as a big wing outside. Like, listen, I know that the Celtics
Yep.
rely on the 3-point shot, but you got a guy of this size, hopefully, to at least be able to somewhat use him down low. I know that's not 100% his style. I know that's not how he gets all his points, but we need to, if we're adding size down low, use it. That's at least what I want to see them do. And to get back to Marcus
Yeah.
Smart, I love him. I think that, like you said, he is the heart and soul of the Boston Celtics.
Mm.
But I do think that was as much of a bad thing as it was a good thing. And I think
100%
that,
agree.
and
100% agree.
and I'll say this. I think that this opens up the opportunity for either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown to step up and go into that leadership role. Now, I know in the past, like, it hasn't been as easy for them to do such a thing. I know that they can, this Celtics teams in past have kind of been a little bit heady, is the way I've said it, and they've kind of gotten in their own way. But I'm hoping that this move kind of opens up the eyes of either Tatum or Brown or both, and they can say, all right, this is our team. We need to step up and we need to take control of that locker room because a lot of guys are going to be asking questions next year, and we can't just let this thing fall apart. We need to take charge and hopefully get off to a strong start in 2023.
I agree 100% with everything you said. I think 9 years, and I think this is a much needed change. As much as I love Marcus Smart,
Yeah,
I think this is a good thing. And I've heard a lot of things about, well, Marcus Smart was basically coaching the team at one point, and well, they didn't win. So
yeah,
maybe this is what needed to happen. Maybe Brad Stevens thinks it's just time for a fresh start. And well, this obviously confirms it. Jaylen Brown is not leaving; he's staying.
yeah.
For sure, 100%. And so that means I don't think we're done trading either,
No,
because the salaries and the players are not this current roster is not good enough to win, because you have Malcolm Brogdon, who we're paying 22.5 million next year with his injury concerns, that apparently the injury is worse than we thought.
yeah.
So
Apparently
he
he's got like a dead elbow or something like that to keep. I mean, if you saw him in Game 7 in that Eastern Conference Finals, he couldn't shoot the ball.
it was a
So
4v5. It was
yeah,
nothing. You can't do anything. I'm surprised he played
yeah.
because it was bad.
No, I'm pretty surprised too. And you mentioned the contract situation and the injury history with him, but you also just a couple of hours ago he thought that he was getting shipped out the door, and now he's still sitting in a Celtics uniform.
That's another thing.
Yeah, I don't. I
I
mean,
don't know.
I was listening to Toucher and Rich earlier today, and they had mentioned the fact that the Celtics, when they had Ray Allen on the team, they originally had a trade in place to shop him for Rudy Gay. And when that deal fell through, Ray Allen's relationship with the team was never really the same afterwards. And instead of deciding to re-up with the Celtics, he took less money and went to the competitors down in Miami to join the Heat and won a championship there.
That's a good point, because I think about Jaylen Brown when that comes up, because I know Jaylen Brown has been in trade rumors for Kevin Durant. He's in trade rumors for whoever for a couple times now, and I was convinced he was leaving.
Yeah.
But this means he's not leaving. He's going to sign the Supermax and stay here.
Yeah.
And I just wonder what we're going to do with Malcolm Brogdon now, because I'm sure he's probably not feeling the best right now because Brad Stevens tried to trade him yesterday and he's still here.
Yeah.
So, and the Clippers literally didn't want him because of his injuries. At least that's what the report said, which that's probably true.
Yeah.
Because I knew that when he came here, I was worried that he wasn't going to stay healthy. He played more games than I expected him to. I'm going to be honest, which was good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I love the guy, but I'm not sure if he's a great fit.
Yeah.
And I think you need, if we're going to get rid of Pritchard, at least get another guard in return for him. I don't see Brogdon and Derek White as the two guards that can help this team win the championship. I don't see that.
I mean,
especially Grant Williams is another topic. I don't know. We can discuss.
Yeah.
Is he going to stay? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what his future is going to look like either, but at least what we can tell from this Marcus Smart trade is that Brad and the front office at least believe enough that Derek White can step up into that starting point guard role. It almost kind of seems poetic now how on the game 6 game winner where Derek White scored it, Marcus Smart threw it off the board. Derek White tipped it in. Was almost a kind of a passing of the torch, I guess you could say, as one Celtic point guard passes on the legacy to the next guy. And listen, I think that Derek White as a defender has really stepped up his game. I think that offensively,
definitely,
he's shown up in times where Tatum and Brown have been completely absent. So he is, really started to put himself together. And I think that he can step up into that starting role. Now, the way the rotation is going to work, I don't know if you're going to have Rob Will and Porzingis out on the floor at the same time together. I don't know if you have Allen Kristaps out there. I don't know how that's all going to work, but I'm intrigued with it nonetheless.
Yeah, me too. I was thinking about that. I was like, I feel like there's no way Porzingis comes here and making $36 million and doesn't start.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's not a question. He, barring injury, he is your starter.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm just if you put like the injuries aside, I'm thinking it's going to be Derek White, Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, and I would say Rob, because people are saying how is he going to fit next to Rob, but people forget Porzingis is also a pretty good defender.
Yeah,
he's not bad. He's like you were saying, 7'3". Like he's pretty good on defense, and just depends on how they're going to use him. I don't know.
Yeah. And now that Marcus Smart is with the Grizzlies, people are saying that, there was an article I know that came out that talked about the Celtics having a reputation around the league for being soft. And now that you took probably the most physical guy out of that locker room, is there a guy maybe on the free agent market, Chris, or someone in that locker room that you think can step up and take that spot of Marcus Smart? If there is one, who would that be for you?
I've really been thinking about this. Like, okay, you trade away Marcus Smart. There's no way they're done trading. Who would you want to go out and get? You have a couple of guys. You got Grant Williams that you can deal. Mm-hmm. Maybe Malcolm Brogdon and maybe Peyton Pritchard. There's 3 players that you can get pretty good value for. They're all. I mean, Brogdon's older than the other 2, but they're still young. You can get good value for them. And well, obviously, Chris Paul is out the window. We'll talk about that. I wasn't sure if I was going to like the fit there. People are saying Russell Westbrook. I'm not really, as much as I love Russ, I'm not really for him just because he's a ball dominant point guard and we already have enough like offense. I feel like you need more of a defensive point guard that can also play make pretty well. I feel like we need a little bit better playmaking than Marcus Smart had. That's why I know a lot of people, a lot of Boston fans were saying, oh, like when are we going to get a true point guard? You know what I mean? And I don't know if there's really a player in mind. I just would want someone with experience and good playmaking and is pretty good on defense. I feel like would be someone. I'm just trying to think of a player off the top of my head.
I mean, is Patrick Beverly a free agent?
I think
out there.
Ooh, I've heard about that. I honestly wouldn't be opposed to it if they signed him for a good deal. I mean, why not, right?
He's 35 right now, and he's an unrestricted free agent.
He was in Boston a couple of weeks ago on some podcast. I remember that he was talking about the Celtics fans, but he tweeted something out yesterday about the Bulls running it back in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I didn't look at the comments, but the like to comment ratio was interesting to say the least.
Yeah. All right.
Oh yeah, must have been a lot of angry Bulls fans in the comments because that team is all over the place. But
Mhm.
I feel like something like maybe someone like him. I just
Yeah,
don't know off the
I'm
top of my head. I don't know.
yeah, and personally, I don't even hate the idea of Russell Westbrook because I think the expectation wouldn't be for him to shoot threes. And if you were to have him come off
Oh
the
yeah,
bench,
yeah.
like that's the big issue with the Celtics. Get guys in who just shoot
Bench.
two, like get guys in who shoot twos. I'm more than fine with Russell Westbrook if he's inside the lane, just being ball dominant down low, shooting twos. I'm more than fine with that. The issue with Westbrook was that a lot of teams were trying to get him outside his success and was, they were trying to force him to shoot 3-point shots when that just
Oh
is
yeah.
not his game.
Yeah, they
So
were. I remember last year they were leaving him open like
yeah,
crazy. Like they were backing off like way far, like giving him a couple, like at least like a couple of like feet just for him to shoot. I'm
mhm,
like, dude, come on, like that's just borderline disrespectful if you're gonna play him like that.
yeah,
But I wouldn't hate it. I just think it's something that they should at least consider. I wouldn't be like like yes, like we should go do that right now. But I mean, the draft starts in like 2 hours,
yeah,
and I haven't heard anything.
yeah.
So
I
I
know.
think as draft starts to get closer, we might get some news. I don't know.
Yeah, I know that one other thing I had heard on Sports Talk Radio today was the potential that I don't know if it would be via trade or just at 25. I don't know how much his draft stock has changed at this point, but one name that had floated out was the possibility of the Celtics taking Amani Bates.
Oh, I've heard of him.
I don't know if that's a potential on because at one point Amani Bates was one of the best players in the draft class, and then over time his stock has kind of fluctuated. There were points
Mm.
where maybe people didn't know if he would stay in the first round, and many years ago people thought he was going to be like a top 5 pick. So I don't know what his situation is right now, but it is intriguing nonetheless. Maybe they can get a guy at that later pick, but the way I see it, like I know they just traded up 10 picks into the first round. Once you get outside the lottery, it's all kind of a shot in the dark.
Yeah, basically. I
That
think I don't know.
you're
It's
going
just
off
hard.
you're going off intangibles at that point. Like you really kind of have to
Yeah.
get lucky. And sometimes you hit, sometimes you just fall flat on your face. So I'm hopeful that the Celtics can pull something together tonight. Maybe we can
For
flip some
sure.
picks even and get some veteran depth that way. So who knows how this thing is going to look, but I
Yeah.
do want to transition over now to our next topic.
I
And
want to make one last point about this.
all right, go ahead.
I think if I were a betting man, the Celtics trade the pick. And here's why.
Mhm.
They haven't. I know we drafted Tatum and Brown. I know it's great. But outside of them and Marcus Smart and Robert Williams, we haven't drafted very well the last couple of
No,
years. We had like
no.
think about the picks we had. We had like Romeo Langford. Where's he at?
Yeah.
I think he's on the Spurs or something.
Yeah, we
We had
traded him.
Aaron Nesmith.
Yeah.
He's actually not bad. I'll give him that. He's not bad. He's over in I think Indiana. He is.
Okay.
Pritchard, not too bad, I guess. Grant Williams and a couple other guys that I'm probably forgetting about that they're just not
Rob
on the team
Will.
anymore. Well, yeah, of course. That was a great pick, of course. But now we have all new. Brad Stevens was not the GM when that happened.
Yeah.
That stuff happened. So I'm
What
not sure.
what man? You're not high up on JD Davison? You're not in on that train right now?
Someone said he grew a lot. Actually,
Okay.
I saw a report the other day that they said that he grew a lot in the past couple months, which I'll take your word for it, I guess, but I want to
Yeah.
see it.
And I also
So, yeah.
and you can be 7 feet tall, but if you can't play, then that's not going to help us out. So,
Exactly.
who knows how that thing will look.
But yeah,
I
we'll
am
see.
I am hoping they do add though, because I was seeing people talk about like their depth chart and they were like, oh yeah, off the bench, like we got
JD Davis.
no, well they were saying like, oh, we got Brogdon, we got Sam Hauser, we got all these guys, and I'm like, yeah, as soon as you say Sam Hauser, fun guy to have at the bottom of the roster. I don't want him to like genuinely be getting legit minutes on this team, at least at this point.
We're paying him like $2 million. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
I'm all set
Like
with
that's
Sam
not.
Hauser. I'm all set.
He's a cool
So
player, but man,
yeah, all good.
But yeah, that's it. So we'll see.
Yeah. So
They
now
might draft somebody. Who knows?
yeah, who knows? So the next topic I have for us tonight, Chris, actually kind of ties into the last show we did when we were outside of the Koffler Center. And we had talked about Kevin Durant
Pretty
going to the
ironic.
Phoenix Suns. They had just acquired new ownership, and after being eliminated from the playoffs, they are going all in an attempt to win a championship this year.
Mhm.
And they started off the offseason with a bang by acquiring Bradley Beal in a trade. that also sent Isaiah Todd and Jordan Goodwin to Phoenix in exchange for Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, and a boatload of draft picks. I think it was like what,
A lot.
six total second round picks. And this is just a complete, like, this is a definition of a blockbuster trade.
Yeah, they also included 4 pick swaps too, I think, which is crazy. So if you want my take on this, I think this is a stupid idea for the Suns. Now, I don't think this was entirely Washington's choice because for some odd reason, the old GM of the Wizards gave Bradley Beal a no trade clause, meaning he can pick where he goes. So he wanted to go to Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, if Phoenix now has to pay Bradley Beal, which is a lot of money. I don't know what it is, but it's a super max. It's probably like 40 plus, maybe 50 million.
Yeah, he did he did re-up with the Wizards last year or last offseason.
Yeah. So now they got to pay him. They got to pay Kevin Durant and they got to pay Booker and DeAndre Ayton. Now, if I'm adding, if the math's adding up, it's probably pretty close to like the luxury tax.
Yeah, Beal's salary next year is $46.7 million.
Just
and then the year after he's making 50, and after that is 53. So he's 53. Making a lot of money.
God, man.
By the final year of the contract, he could be making $57 million that year. That's a player option.
For one player.
Mm-hmm. That's a player option
insane.
Here.
See, this is why I question the Suns, because I don't see a reason to get a guy like Bradley Beal. You don't need a guy who scores a lot and is not great on defense. He's a great shot creator. He really is. He scores the ball a lot. But you don't need a guy like him. The reason why they lost was because they didn't have enough depth on their team. They had like Terrence Ross coming off the bench. Like what? Cameron Payne, Terrence Ross, like Ish Wainwright, like guys like that.
I feel like
you can't win a championship like that.
I feel like it's 2015 again with those guys coming off the bench.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of washed veterans. It's the Brooklyn Nets all over again. This is what this is. And I like, as a basketball fan, I'm interested to see how this works out. I'm not praying on their downfall. It's just my opinion. This will not work for them. They will lose in the second round, and they're going to be like, well, what do we do now?
Yeah.
If I were the Suns, I would get rid of DeAndre Ayton immediately because his contract is horrendous because he's on a max contract.
Jesus.
Which, why'd you give him a max contract? I don't know, because they almost lost him to Indiana last year. And I've heard a rumor about them trading for Miles Turner and Buddy Hield in a package, something along those lines.
Okay.
I don't know how realistic that is because it's 2 players for one, and I don't know how the salary is going to match. I don't know what their contracts are, but if they get rid of DeAndre Ayton, because the Pacers have been known to have interest in Ayton because they tried to get him and the Suns matched the offer. So I think if I were the Suns, I would deal Ayton to a different team with some maybe aging players. Like the Pacers is definitely a team to consider. I don't know where else that they'd want. I mean, I know Portland's been in rumors. Portland's all over the place. I don't know what's going on there. But just, teams like that would want a guy like Ayton, I think they should at least listen to some offers. But I'm kind of glad that Bradley Beal got out of Washington. But the Wizards front office is, I don't know what they're doing here.
I mean, honestly, I kind of have to commend the Wizards as to what they're doing right now. I think that they realized the mistake they made with giving Bradley Beal that enormous amount of money and realizing that they couldn't surround him with anything. And I think they're like, you know what? We're going to blow this whole thing up. They are shopping guys left and right. And I think that at this point, that is the right thing to do. Like to say like, oh, why are they trading him? Why are they doing this? Like it makes sense as to why they're doing it right now. They're saying we need a complete rebuild, tank in the draft, get some top picks. And like, hopefully they can actually do a successful rebuild with this team. So that's the reasoning behind that. But I see this deal and it is the definition of like, hey, we are going all in. Like we have to do this now because Kevin Durant's not getting any younger. He's only going to be performing at that level for, only a couple more years at this point. His body will start to break down over time. And then Devin Booker is a free agent after this year. His contract expires next year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So this deal, so it also might be them. Maybe they've had discussions with Devin Booker and haven't gotten anywhere. And they're starting to realize, hey, maybe we're not going to be able to bring this guy back. And if that's the case, let's bring in another guard that's, that has similar production, and maybe we could build around that in the future as things progress. But yeah, like I don't know how they're going to make the money work if they can bring Devin Booker back, but
I don't know.
But yeah, in your opinion, Chris, you think this team's going out in the second round? You don't think that they're going to have any way to match up with the Denver Nuggets?
No, and it's going to be the same result of this year, next year. And well, health is also a concern for, especially with Durant and Beal. Beal's been not really that healthy recently either.
Mm-hmm.
I just think I'm not really. I know that the Wizards kind of were working with a bad situation when they with the new GM and stuff.
Yeah,
I just think that the old front office should have traded Bradley Beal a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, and they would have gotten more for him.
Yeah,
I think that's just what, if I was the Wizards, I think I should have traded him earlier, like after that Russell Westbrook season, maybe. So maybe like 2 years ago, maybe like that off season, I maybe would have looked into trading him just because his value would have been higher. But I think for the Wizards, I think this is good that they get a fresh start. So, but I don't know. No one's really going to be talking about them anymore because they're probably going to get rid of Kuzma too.
yeah.
So the Suns, I just think they're just lacking bench depth. That's going to be their issue. That's going to come back to haunt them. They could go out there and win it all for all I know. They could be like a surprise to everybody and win like 65 games or something.
Yeah, I mean,
But
like,
I don't
listen, listen, they have a shot. I think that, they are going to be heavily favored by a lot of people now coming into next year. But I do have to agree. I do have to agree with you. Like, there is a lot of risk when you're making a deal like this. And we saw it work out with the Golden State Warriors when Kevin Durant signed back there in 2016. And at that point, they were just so loaded that they were going to be able to take care of business either way.
That was crazy
But ever since then, these super teams have not been able to produce the same results that LeBron, Wade, and Bosh did, or Durant, Curry, Thompson, Draymond Green, and all these other guys. Like, we saw Brooklyn absolutely fall apart over this past season. Like, and yeah, like, it's just
insane.
And even when Kyrie went to Dallas, and we thought that was going to be a super pairing, like, that whole situation fell apart too, and the Mavericks didn't even make the playoffs.
That's another conversation. I feel like for another day to talk about that. That's crazy that they missed the playoffs because of that. So I can't believe that, man.
So but, I mean, and we all know that the Suns are historically a smaller market franchise. They don't have the revenues that a team from New York or LA or even Boston has at their disposal. Teams from Florida, even for that matter. They don't have that in the desert like that. So they realize they have a very small window, and they know, all right, if we don't hit this, we're going to have to blow it up. But they realize that the time is now. They don't have time to be like, all right, let's really build some depth here. Let's get some pieces here and there. They know that it's going to be an all or nothing year. This is what it is.
Yeah. I can't really blame him for trying it. I know Matt, what's his name? Matt Ishbia or something like that.
Yeah.
He seems like he wants, well, we saw with the KD trade, he's willing to risk it all just to, at least gamble, try to win. I can't hate him for it because it's at least something to try. I thought for sure Beal was going to the Heat, but I was wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, the last thing is I heard people say, like, in the Suns, like, at least saying, well, this isn't that bad because they could just trade one of them. Yeah. Which I guess you could do like what the Nets did, I guess, but I feel like that's a bad way to look at it because you're still trying to build a super team.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, but I'm interested to see how it works.
But yeah, like you mentioned Beal, potentially going to the Heat, or I know there were also rumors about him going to Milwaukee. What a bullet the Celtics dodged with that.
The Kings too was another team.
Yeah, but that's out in the West. This is a major bullet that the Celtics had to dodge, at least in the East.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's
so like
true.
That could have been a major issue for us. Who knows if the Celtics have to face off against them in the finals? Like, that's an issue you have to worry about down the road if Boston can even make it that far. So
well, that's
But the fact that they're out of your conference is a good thing, at least when you look at the state of the playoffs. So that's at least a positive. And to transition into our next segment, this trade also impacts another move that just went down today. So
Yeah.
so I had mentioned that Chris Paul was in the deal that sent Bradley Beal to Phoenix. He was a Washington Wizard all for a couple of days. People were clowning him online and were saying like, "Oh, you're never gonna have a shot to win a ring again. You're 38 years old. You're done." I just saw people were like talking trash to his daughter in
Crazy.
school. Like, people are nuts.
That's crazy, man. Like, it's the internet it can be just a horrible
Oh
place.
no,
It's
yeah,
it's honestly kind of sad. Like when especially with like Russell Westbrook, I
yeah,
see so many negative things, and it's just like, guys, come on. Like, they still have more money than all of you, and have had more success than all of you probably. So
a hundred
it's like, come
percent.
on, man.
Yeah. And
It's
now,
crazy.
all those people clowning on Chris Paul are going to have to kind of bite their tongue now, because he is going to have a shot, uh, at least what we think, to at least compete for another NBA title. Because just today, the Golden State Warriors acquired CP3 in exchange for Jordan Poole. So Poole is out, CP3 into the Warriors, likely to be their sixth man coming off the bench to
Hmm.
in relief of Steph Curry, which if you were to have told me that, 5, 6 years ago that Chris Paul and Steph Curry were going to be on the same team together, I would have called you crazy. So, uh,
That is pretty wild.
yeah, just those two premier caliber point guards, experts at their craft, are going to be, in the same uniform is remarkable to me. So, Jordan Poole, he had a great finals run in 2022. He got a great contract extension from Golden State, but just was not able to live up to the
Oh,
expectations that he set for himself.
yeah, Jordan Poole, like, my friends know this. He's my least favorite player in the NBA. I hate the guy. I hate watching him play. I made a video, a TikTok video a while ago. I said Jordan Poole is the most overrated player in the league. This was back in like November, I
Mhm.
think, of this season. So it
Yeah.
was early in the season, and I made that video. And I was like, I hope this age is like fine wine, and everyone is like agreeing with me. And that's exactly what happened. Didn't live up to the hype from last season. His like averages went down. He literally got Steph Curry ejected because Curry threw his mouth guard because he was mad at Jordan Poole's shot, and he got himself ejected because of that. And Jordan Poole took that god awful shot in the playoffs against the Lakers, in the very end to try to win the game. It was way off. And I'm just saying, like, yeah, he's got some good moves and stuff, but man, like, he's just not that guy. I don't know. He makes way too many mistakes. The turnovers, the decision making is just awful, and just I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. Like, it's always been funny with seeing Jordan Poole. There's always been the meme of him when pretty girls or whatnot are in the stands, he starts to
Of
play
course,
better. I don't know if he's gonna have that same luxury in DC, because one, I don't think that there are gonna be a lot of people coming to that stadium.
and nobody going to DC for the game next year.
And two, I've never heard of DC being
Oh
like
my
the
god,
premier spot for like supermodels to be flaunting around. So,
no,
watch for Jordan. What the Jordan Poole fall off is incoming. That's all I'm gonna say there. But no,
yeah,
in all seriousness, Washington, like, he could be Washington's go-to guy for. He could be their number one scorer next year. There's a chance at that if he doesn't get flipped for someone else.
yeah, I think he probably will. I mean, they're talking him or Tyus Jones. Is the Wizards' young core? I'm gonna be honest, it's not very good.
No.
Like, their young core is not very good. I don't know. Like, they drafted Johnny Davis last year. He could be potentially like a generational bust.
Yeah, I mean, just
Um,
just the name Johnny
oh,
Davis, it sounds like
Johnny
a
Davis.
random
Oh
creative
God.
player.
It's yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'll find his draft stock. But like, man, it's like, or his draft like spot that he was taken in. But man, it's bad.
Yeah.
Um, um, you know, as for the Warriors, this is an interesting move that I didn't see coming. I did not see Chris Paul going to the Warriors. I really
No.
didn't. I thought he was going to go to a different contender. Like, maybe, of course, I never want to believe anything that Lakers fans say, because they say everyone's a Laker
Yeah.
when they hit free agency. So I mean, I'm never going to believe that. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's a good move for the Warriors. I think there was a draft pick in there too. So I guess they lost something, but yeah. Oh yeah, and the Wizards drafted Johnny Davis at the number 10 pick in last year's draft, and he didn't do like anything this year.
Jesus.
That's kind of disappointing for Wizards fans. I don't know.
Yeah.
But as for Jordan Poole in Washington, I think he'll have a decent season, but just at least scoring the ball. I don't know about anything else. He's one of the worst defenders in the league, so he doesn't have much going there for him. But I don't know. I think this is a good move for the Warriors. That's my final say.
I do too. And listen, I had once thought that Jordan Poole was going to be the third splash brother out there in Golden State, especially when they were taking care of the Celtics in last year's finals. So I thought that was going to be the case. And I thought that, potentially if Klay Thompson started to tail off, maybe Poole could take the spot next to Curry. I genuinely thought that was going to be the case, but it's just the case that like what we saw with Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent in the Eastern Conference Finals is just guys that can't live up to the expectation that they set for themselves.
Oh God, Caleb Martin. Oh, I could go on for hours talking about the like sheer disappointment in that man in the NBA Finals.
Oh my
That's
God.
the biggest fluke I've ever seen in my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Like just watching every game, it's the biggest fluke I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Was Caleb Martin's Eastern Conference Finals. I was there for the first game and I watched it live too. I was there for game 1 and I was like, there's no way we just got cooked by this guy, bro. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother episode.
It's unbelievable. So Chris, before we do go, this isn't these aren't like trades or free agent signing news, anything of that matter, but it is an NBA story that I was meaning to cover, but didn't get a chance to on any previous episodes. And that has to do with the big news that came out following the NBA Finals. And once the Denver Nuggets had their victory parade, crowned as champions, first title in NBA history, it was the announcement of the suspension of Ja Morant. Some people were more excited and waiting on this news than they were even the result of the finals. For a lot of people, it was pretty
crazy. The tweets
crazy.
I saw were funny. I'm not gonna lie, that the tweets I saw were funny. They're like, well, only 4 days until the NBA announced its suspension. It was like, bro, come on.
It was like the finals are on, but with the way that that thing went, I can understand why people were tuning out pretty quickly and were getting ready for this. And frankly, I think that a lot of people were underwhelmed with the announcement that came out. Ja Morant only is going to end up serving a 25-game suspension. That's the length of what he's going to be out for with the Memphis Grizzlies. I know there are some stipulations, I guess, and benchmarks, I guess, he needs to meet in order to be eligible to return. But I believe that the NBA is going to try to get him back on the court as soon as possible. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but my
cat decided to show up today, I guess.
Nice. That's awesome. But yeah.
Nice.
So Ja Morant, I know the other big thing is that he's going to be ineligible for any in-season awards. He won't be able to meet any of those benchmarks. So
with the new CBA. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I know that there is a lot of a lot of money tied to whether he could make an all-NBA team. So that's a major hit for him as well.
That's true. He didn't make it last year either. Before this whole thing went down, last season, before the second one, I think obviously all NBA was at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
He was ineligible. He didn't make it. He didn't make any team, not even the third. So that's that's tough for him, but
yeah, it's tough, but I think it's a punishment that he needed to learn. I mean, he is a generational talent,
Definitely.
but when you do stupid things like this, not once, but freaking twice, the same exact thing, showing a gun on Instagram Live, you would think, okay, yeah, once crazy incident, like there's no way, like he's going to be more careful, but then he proceeds to do the exact same thing. I remember where I was when the second time broke. And I was just in awe. I was like, nah, someone had to have photoshopped that. That can't be real. And
that's what I thought too. That's literally what I thought, yeah.
And even if it is, like, there's no way like the NBA will definitely try to hide this. And everyone just like collectively lost their minds. It was nuts. Crazy. And some people thought that he was going to get suspended for the year, for half the year. And, people thought that it was going to be like an OJ Mayo situation. It was going to be like I forget the exact words. It was just going to be like a suspension for like an indefinite amount of time. So it wasn't going to be determined when he could return to the league. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. Like, do you think that this was a just amount of games, or do you think that he should have gotten more?
Um, this is a really tough thing to judge because, well, OJ Mayo situation, I'm not sure the entire like backstory
Those,
behind that, but if it's
yeah,
an
that,
indefinite suspension, I feel like there's got to be more. Like he didn't do anything
yeah.
to anybody per se.
Mm.
That means like I'm thinking, well, if he like, God forbid, murdered somebody,
Oh my
then
goodness. Yeah.
then that would be talking. If he didn't use the gun, he just had it,
Yeah.
which I don't know where he was, and I'm
I
not sure if
know.
that's legal.
So I know in the first incident, I believe he was in a
But
nightclub, which is
oh,
not,
that was bad because I heard that if he brought the gun on the team plane, then he'd be suspended for a bunch of games. But I guess
yeah.
they said that wasn't true.
Yeah.
The
He
second
did.
time, like, oh, his
Yeah.
friend did him dirty, first of all.
Yeah,
And
that was messed up. I mean, like he is in a car, but like, yeah, that was messed up for his friend to be recording him while that's happening.
he did that on purpose, 100%.
I think so.
I don't think that was an accident. He was literally holding it up, and as soon as he put it down, and everyone got that blurry image of him holding it like this, and it's like, come on, man. Like, I'm disappointed because I wasn't sold on the apology being 100% genuine, but I
No,
thought that at least he would learn from this that this you just can't do that. You like
no.
Ja Morant has influence over so many people and a lot of kids too. A lot of kids look up to this guy as like their role model. He's one of like the favorite like youth players. I mean, we got Curry and like Luca, like all these new players and Ja Morant,
Yeah.
and you can't be doing that
No.
and
And
expect to keep like your status as one of the best young players and biggest role models in the league. You just can't.
yeah, and I mean, like you thought that he would like his shoe stock would suffer. It didn't. It sold out in minutes.
I'm
And
surprised that
yeah,
that happened. I'm very surprised. Yeah.
I can believe it though. I think outrage can drive sales like that. If it's done right,
True.
it can have an effect like that. But yeah, I mean, he's got to evaluate the people that are in his inner circle because they do not have his best interest in mind.
100%.
Listen, and if they're affiliated with that life and you have some ties to that, which he actually really doesn't, he came from a pretty well-off background. But if your friends are part
Yeah.
of that life, that's one thing. But they at least need to be able to respect the fact that at least for you, you are the breadwinner for a lot of those guys. You're the one hooking them up with, potentially jewelry or cars or, land or different things like that. So
Yeah.
they need to at least be able to respect that. And if they can't, you need to step away from those people because it's a toxic situation. You can't be involved with that.
Yeah, it's really disappointing to just to see like kind of what like just like this whole situation is just kind of disappointing as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that he's actually going to learn from this. I really think he's not going to do it again.
I
If he
mean,
does it again, he's no one's going to take him serious.
no, I mean, I hope they do, Chris, but like I saw like a lot of people saying like they even thought his apology was like written by Chat GPT or something because it seemed
That
so
wasn't true,
disingenuous.
but it was
I
so
know it wasn't
funny.
true, but it
That
was
was so
written,
funny.
but it was
But
written as just like so bland and like it lacked any like
true.
criteria of what he did. He was just like, I am sorry for actions, insert action, blah blah blah. I am going to attempt to do better. And it just didn't seem it just seemed very disingenuous.
I just think now, like I know he talked to Adam Silver about this. He obviously must have talked to all like people throughout the NBA. Is like his personal like trainer and like all this stuff like for the Grizzlies, and he's got a like I'm sure he's come up with a plan to
Hopefully.
just improve his like figure as a whole because you just cannot be like bringing your image and like hurting your public image like this in such like stupid ways.
Yeah.
Like why is he doing that? I don't understand it. Like even if he wasn't even on the video, like even if the Instagram live wasn't there, like why is he doing that?
Yeah, I mean, like,
What does
listen,
it do for him? I
listen,
don't understand.
listen, young boy, like, it triggers a lot of emotions in people, but you don't have to flash a gun. Like, what's going on,
Crazy.
man? It's ridiculous. And
Crazy.
like, and the fact that this story doesn't even stop here, other players are, on other teams, and I guess this will be like how we end things off, Chris. This like the gun incident is now impacting players on teams that we actually root for. Most recently with the New England Patriots, where cornerback Jack Jones. This is an unbelievable story.
I can't
So
believe this.
so
Oh,
when the
man.
second Ja Morant incident happened, Jack Jones went on Twitter and basically said the words of and said essentially like, hey, put down the gun. There's no reason you have to be showing that around. Take responsibility and be mature, essentially was his message there. And then this guy proceeds to go to Logan International Airport and have not one, but two firearms and a feeding device in his bag. And
Loaded too.
Yeah, loaded, and gets caught by security.
Yeah.
And Chris, I mean, listen, we've all been through airport security, and like my parents, they tell me every time, hey, that toothpaste tube might be a little too big. Hey, you can't bring that mouthwash on the plane with you. And these guys are just walking through fully strapped. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a story. I was in Florida in March, and I literally had nothing on me, but like the shorts that I was wearing for some reason came up weird in whatever it is, like the detector or whatever the thing it is, like the security device. So they had to like double check me. I didn't even have anything on me. It was just like it must have been like the shorts I was wearing or something. Like they're really strict about everything. I mean,
yeah, you might have spilt water or done something like
that.
that.
Good thing, but
no, I remember when I came back from spring break this year, I was like, we got stuck in like the TSA line for like 20-30 minutes because my buddy, he plays guitar. He didn't bring his guitar with him, but do you know like the capo, I think it's called a capo, which is like one of the things that you like put on the strings to like make the sound, to make the guitar sound a little different.
Oh, I've probably seen it. If I saw it,
it's like the
probably.
clamp, it's like the clamp thing.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've seen it. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a guitar clamp that like it like changes the way that the strings sound. He had it just like in his like cinch sack or duffel bag, and on the thing it came up actually looking pretty suspicious because I actually like looked up what one of these things were, and we were just like we were asking the people what's going on, and they were like, no questions, we have to like go through your bag, and like they were like opening this kid's bag and like going through every single little thing, and eventually after like however long they found it, but like I remember like they call over a guy and he legit has a shirt on that says like Fort Lauderdale explosives like team. I'm like, oh my God. And
it's crazy. It is no joke.
And again, that happened for a guitar pick. But this guy comes through with two fully loaded guns to an airport.
Not one, but two.
Yeah, and expected nothing to happen to him. Like, I'm sorry, that's just like that guy just doesn't see how the other side lives. That's
very disappointing.
Yeah.
Very, very disappointing as a Patriots fan because there are too many Joneses on the team to keep track of. I know he had a lot of potential. I don't see him playing if he really gets like convicted of these crimes or whatever, because I know there's something, he broke some laws, obviously. I saw he said something that he was not guilty of something, even though I was like, how's that possible? Because he literally did do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he's set for a court date, and he's still on the team. They didn't cut him instantly. Like, he's still on the team. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what Belichick's going to do, what Kraft's going to do. I don't know what to say is. I really hope that this kid gets a second chance. It's hard to give it to him after what he just did, but he's a very talented player, and I hope that he learns from this and becomes a better person. I really do.
Yeah, man. I hope he does too. I know that his lawyer, I don't know her name, but she was kind of making like the headlines. I know she was talking about like how this was kind of a how this was like a prejudiced jury, or how people were kind of like judging Jones on like preconceived notions. And I think she said like, oh, like people think he's a wannabe gangster. And at that point, no one had really said the words wannabe gangster in association with Jack Jones. But after looking into it, like a lot of people are now like finding potential like gang ties to this guy. Like, I guess on Twitter, he spells his name with JACC was some things I had heard, because you don't want and essentially that's usually a sign that someone's in the Crips, because they don't have the word CK together, because I guess that stands for Crip Killer.
Oh, that's interesting. Like, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, and then okay. I guess there were, this is all from like Sports Talk Radio. I was hearing over on 98.5 the Sports Hub. And they had said that there were some pictures with Jones potentially flashing like gang signs and different things like that. So I'm like, yeah, this thing could get blown out into a whole different field. So that I don't even want to touch that right
Oh
now,
no,
but
man.
this thing could get absolutely nuts.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, the Patriots, that's a whole nother topic of conversation. There's so many things we can talk about
Yeah.
for that. Maybe as the season gets closer. And I just learned today that you will be back at Bryant, so that's
Yeah.
exciting. And
Yeah, man, I am going to be back at Bryant. So I'm going for my
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm going for my NBA in the fall. I'm super excited for it. I'll be living on campus again, which is nuts. So
Sweet.
I'm here for it. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
So but yeah, Chris, with that, I have to say that we are now down to the wire. So we're gonna wrap
Yeah.
up what we talked about on this show today and send you guys on your way. Chris, first, is there any way that you want people to know about your content? I know you just mentioned your TikTok. You want to shout that out real quick?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I can just like show a picture of it at this point, and then
Sure.
like I usually go private on socials because I get there's a lot of scams and bots and all this
Yeah.
stuff. But I mean, this is my my profile. I got
So
18.6K, not
so
too bad.
so it's Christopher 200XX.
Yeah, see, the name is weird because it's like my middle school email name, and I
Yeah.
just never changed it. I'm honestly thinking about changing it. I don't know what I should change it to
Yeah. I
because it's
mean,
already in my thing. So I don't know if I should put my actual name in, put I don't know if I should put my last name in there. I don't know what I should do. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, who
But
knows?
yeah, I make videos sometimes on there just for fun. A lot of people have said they found my videos, which is I don't. It's honestly kind of cool.
Yeah.
More. But yeah, that's really it. So that's I don't know. I'm gonna I'll repost this on my story for the followers that I have because I know a lot of people at school and from home too and stuff. So get some new fans because the show it is not stopping. It is not stopping.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for having me on, Brian. I appreciate it. Hopefully, I'm hoping that the Celtics pull it together this season.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's really it.
Yeah. I mean, and listen, if
that's
you
it for
guys,
me.
yeah, and I'll just say that if you guys want to follow Down to the Wire, we have a link in our bio in our Instagram at down.to-the-wire. It has links to our Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all those different streaming platforms where you can watch the show. And if you just decide to follow the Instagram, you get notifications about show posts. And we also like to do little clips from the shows or even like little news updates as they come along. So make sure you go follow on there. It's great to just stay up to date with what we got going on here.
I follow them and
yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should too.
Yeah, so we got some good stuff on the way in the fall. I'm in contact with a couple athletes right now, so have some exciting interviews on the
That's
horizon.
awesome.
So I'm excited about that. So I hope you guys tune into that as well. And I'll say this too. Today we had a great show. We discussed Kristaps Porzingis coming to the Boston Celtics and Marcus Smart departing from the team. We also discussed Bradley Beal going to the Phoenix Suns, as well as Chris Paul moving on to the Golden State Warriors. And we closed things off today by talking about the suspension of Ja Morant and the recent gun incident involving Patriots cornerback Jack Jones.
Crazy.
It's a wild world right now in the sports hemisphere. So
Crazy.
it's
Crazy.
nuts. And
It really is.
Yeah, so I really hope that you guys stay tuned into the show. Like I said, we're available on all streaming platforms, and I hope that you guys have a great day. So without any further ado, from Down the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
And I'm Chris Dring.
And we hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care, and peace out.